last game for Real Madrid will be the Champions League final against Borussia Dortmund on June the 1st. And that he will then hang up his boots for good after representing Germany on home soil at this summer's European Championships. For some, this is a shock and a rare case of a player ending their career while at the peak of their powers, with Kroos still one of the best central midfielders in the world. However, it is a fitting end to the way Kroos has handled his career, and it's time we look back on that career, because what a career it was. So, let's take a look back and see how Kroos came to this decision, and find out how good really was Toni Kroos. Kroos has followed careful plans made on his own terms along each step of his career, ever since he burst onto the scene as a teenage playmaker, winning Player of the Tournament awards at the Under-17 Euros and the Under-17 World Cup. He became Bayern Munich's youngest Bundesliga player when he broke into the team at 17, providing 2 assists on his debut in 2007. Still, he could see the benefit of spending 18 months on loan as a regular starter at Bayer Leverkusen. During his time at Leverkusen, Kroos became a key player, known for his goals, assists and ability to control the game. After his successful loan, Kroos returned to Bayern Munich, more experienced and ready to take on a more central role in the team. Ready to play a key role in his first Champions League win in 2013, where he helped Bayern win the treble. By the following summer, he was already a World Cup winner with Germany, and at the age of 24, showed determination in charting a course out of Munich. At Bayern Munich, Kroos was praised for his game, vision, passing accuracy, and ability to score an assist. His tactical intelligence, along with his technique and calmness under pressure, allowed him to play a key role in the midfield. Toni Kroos' time at Bayern Munich was not only formative in terms of professional development, but also solidified his status as one of the most talented midfielders in the game at the time. Now, Kroos had been happy under Pep Guardiola, but he felt Bayern's hierarchy did not value his contribution enough by offering more money to international teammate Mario Götze. It wasn't necessarily the money for Toni Kroos, but more so the fact he felt undervalued and underappreciated at Bayern Munich. So, he forced through a transfer, and funnily enough, his career may have ended up very, very different if he made the move he was originally going to make that summer. Prior to joining Real Madrid, Kroos had a deal in place to join Manchester United after agreeing terms with David Moyes. However, after Moyes was sacked and Louis van Gaal replaced him, the Dutch manager decided against signing Kroos. Boy oh boy, United really messed up there, because he received a call from Carlo Ancelotti shortly afterwards, who convinced him to join Real Madrid for a cut price €25 million move, which turned out to be one of the best bargains in football history. At Bayern, under Jupp Heynckes and Guardiola, and also for Germany under Joachim Löw, Kroos was more of a number 10, or at least an attacking midfielder without too many defensive responsibilities. That was never going to work at Madrid, with the BBC attacking trident of Gareth Bale, Karim Benzema and Cristiano Ronaldo at its peak. The team needed balance further back. Welcomed by Carlo Ancelotti, then in his first spell as Madrid coach, Kroos settled straight into directing traffic from a new deeper role. position I hadn't played much before, Kroos said in February 2015. Playing in the centre of midfield is difficult. You have to be versatile, good with and without the ball, defend well, start attacks and be strong. It's a tough position to play in. I'm trying to overcome my weakness. I know I can progress further and that's what I'm working on. That work continued to pay off. Perhaps the most fitting way for him to start his Madrid career was by making his debut against Sevilla in the 2014 UEFA Super Cup and winning his first trophy at Real Madrid in his very first game. He was part of a midfield trio with James Rodriguez and Luka Modric that led Real Madrid, and he was named in the FIFA Pro, World XI and UEFA Team of the Year in his debut season. There was no adjustment period needed for a player of Kroos' quality. After Ancelotti left at the end of the 14-15 season, and Rafa Benitez's time was cut short in January 2016, Zinedine Zidane came into the Real Madrid job, and he promoted Brazilian holding midfielder Casemiro to join Kroos and Luka Modric in an ideally balanced triangle, which would prove to be one of the best moves he ever made. This trio became the cornerstone of the side that won 3 straight Champions League finals under Zidane from 2016 to 2018, rivaling Barcelona's Busquets, Xavi and Iniesta as the very best midfield trio we've ever seen. Zidane, of course a legendary midfielder himself, recognised the quality of Kroos early on and made Kroos one of his most important players at Madrid. At the end of the 16-17 season, Kroos was the most used player by Zidane that year. In a team littered with superstars such as Ronaldo, Benzema, Bale, Modric, Ramos, it was Kroos who was the most important for Zidane. It helped to be inside the Bernabeu then, to appreciate how he would take control of a game, regularly coming deep, finding space to the left of the centre circle, where he knew rivals would find it difficult to press him. From then he could use his range of short and long range passing to find his teammates and move defences out of shape. And Kroos continued to adapt his game over time. He was never a Casemiro-style destroyer in defence, being neither quick nor particularly strong, but he made up for that with an ability to read the game and sense what opponents were planning. When Ronaldo and Bale were replaced in a new Madrid team by Vinicius Jr. and Rodrigo, Kroos himself adapted, especially with early balls into the space down the left to exploit Vinicius Jr.'s pace. Even after he passed his 30th birthday, Kroos always wanted to play. He did not hide his disappointment when he was not given the full 90 in big games, and was particularly unhappy when Zidane left him on the bench through the Champions League quarter-final first leg against Man City in 2020. But he also had the intelligence and self-knowledge to realise that he was not quite as physically capable as before. After being criticised when Germany went out of Euro 2020, he announced his international retirement, knowing it would help to prolong his top-level club career. Now when we think about who Kroos was as a footballer, what his identity was, we'll think about his passing, but sometimes we focus so much on his passing that we lose sight of his all-round game. Kroos was a specialist, elite at his trade and the greatest to ever do what he's good at. But there was more. We'll get to the more later. Circling back to his passing, Kroos, in his 10 years at Real Madrid, completed 94% of his passes. This season in the Champions League, he's averaged a 91% pass succession rate. That number is staggering when you think of how much instant pressure he faced against Man City and Leipzig over 4 games. He was swarmed at every hurdle. Every touch was met with multiple presses, but he evaded them, broke with high pressing schemes with one touch passing, shoulder drops, unbothered. Some of that is down to pure ability and talent. Some of it's down to mental fortitude, an underrated trait of his. Real Madrid will lose an irreplaceable footballer, but they'll also lose his cold blood and leadership. How many times has Real Madrid played an away game under hostile conditions against aggressive teams and relied on him? How many times has Kroos' composure alongside Modric been the team's main source of oxygen? Real Madrid probably don't escape to the Champions League final this year without him. Over 2 legs against Man City this season, Kroos was tremendous under pressure, always making the right pass and the right touch. His calmness was desperately needed, particularly at the Etihad. In the ensuing game in Munich, he slung one of the best passes this entire Champions League campaign to open the scoring. 1 week later, he levitated against Bayern again, completing 18 of the 20 long balls, while having the most touches of anyone on the field. Still, his skeptics will talk about him as a sideways passer, a narrative spun by a minority group of fans who don't understand his game, even fueled by Bayern Munich's president Uli Hoeneß, who even once proclaimed back in 2021 that Kroos has no place in today's football. Meanwhile, Kroos has arguably been the best midfielder in the world since he said that. The sideways passer narrative has always been a myth. No player in Champions League history has slung as many progressive passes and passes into the final third as Kroos. In 2023, Kroos executed the most line-breaking passes in the whole of Europe. The fact that his accuracy has always been so high is not a byproduct of easy sideways passes, but even made all the more impressive because he launches a high degree of very difficult passes. But there are things beyond passing that sometimes get lost, in part because he's so good at passing. It's what we think of when we close our eyes and evaluate Kroos' legacy. His press evasion is second to none. He may not have a high volume of dribbles like a winger, but the low volume he does have is clinical. Kroos' dribbling doesn't manifest itself in the form of taking players on, but it does become apparent when he's swarmed by defenders. He's nearly impossible to dispossess. Flying out at him means you risk being completely hoodwinked the wrong way. Press him and he'll punish you by finding the open man. Give him space and he'll lick his lips, playing quarterback from deep to create chances from nothing. That uniqueness is what will make Kroos hard to replace. It's only natural that you can't replace him for a like-to-like figure. Even bringing in a progressive passer won't necessarily replace Kroos, because no one can progress the ball at the elite level that Kroos does. If this situation arose a mere 2 years ago, you would talk yourself into a collective improvement on defence without Kroos, but that is no longer the case as well. A part of the argument that supports Kroos having the best season of his career is that his defence has also gone up a massive level this season. And this is a lot down to his relationship with Ancelotti, a midfielder in his own playing days who has always been super close with him and has helped get the best out of him. The Italian has managed the transition in Madrid's midfield free, keeping Kroos and Modric on board, but not only as key players, also useful examples for a new generation in Valverde, Camavinga and Tchouaméni. Kroos' status at the club was also clear, as one of a few players who spoke on a one-on-one basis with the club's executives. It did not happen often, but he was always listened to when he had a point to make. This did not mean Kroos particularly enjoyed Ancelotti, often replacing him in the second half of big games, especially during the incredible comebacks of Madrid's 21-22 Champions League success, his fourth title in the competition and fifth overall. Ex-Madrid forward Paco Gento is the only player to have lifted the European Cup 6 times, a record Dani Carvajal, Nacho, Modric, and of course Kroos could match at Wembley this year. There was drama during the closing stages of last season though, as Kroos' contract ended its final months. Nobody knew whether he really might be about to end his connection with the club, or even with the game altogether. It seemed unthinkable when he was sublime in both legs, as Madrid hammered Liverpool 6-2 and then Chelsea 4-0 in last season's Champions League knockout stages. There were then real fears at the Bernabeu that he might stop playing after he and his teammates were overrun by Man City in the semi-finals, but then followed by a relief when he eventually signed on for another year. The funny thing is, I've gone through all of this and I'm still yet to mention his incredible national team career and performance. Kroos was named in Germany's squad for the 2014 World Cup. In the team's opening match, a 4-0 win over Portugal, Kroos started in midfield and assisted Mats Hummels for Germany's second goal. Then, in the quarter-final, the only goal scored by Hummels again against France came from a Toni Kroos free kick. In the semi-final against the host nation Brazil, Kroos scored 2 goals 2 minutes apart in Germany's demolition job 7-1 win. He also recorded his 4th assist of the tournament, crossing for Müller's opening goal, and was named the man of the match for that game, which is pretty impressive considering they won 7-1 and everybody for Germany was incredible. And of course, Germany would go on to win the tournament, beating Argentina in the final, with Kroos playing all 120 minutes of the final, and lifting the World Cup as one of the most important players to that German side. Kroos is also considered the only player from the former East Germany to ever win the World Cup, and he is the most decorated German player of all time. This February came the decision to return for Germany's national team to play the Euro 2024 finals on home soil. Some players might have wondered how they would be received in such circumstances, but Kroos was again firm in his own mind. National coach Julian Nagelsmann welcomed him back with open arms, even though it meant rearranging the balance of his side. Almost everyone accepted their chances of success on home soil this summer had immediately been improved, except some at Bayern who were still hurting at how he left them a decade ago. Just a few weeks ago, when Kroos returned to Munich with Madrid and gave a great individual midfield display against his old side, it again seemed unreal that he might be close to calling it a day. The assist for Vinicius Jr.'s opening goal was trademark. Replay showed how he spotted the opportunity and pointed out to Vinicius Jr. where to run before timing and weighting his pass perfectly. Ahead of another Champions League final for Kroos and Madrid against Dortmund, there was an increasing feeling that Kroos would stay for another season at least. Club president Florentino Perez and Ancelotti both really wanted him to renew, as did his teammates. When a branch of the Toni Kroos Academy recently opened close to his home in Madrid, it was taken as a welcome sign he was planning on sticking around for some time yet. While not playing as many full matches as earlier in his career, Kroos' numbers while on the pitch were still holding up. His passing accuracy this year was 94%, as it's always been throughout his entire career, He's not dropped below 93% in the past 5 seasons, which is especially impressive given he rarely plays safe balls to a teammate beside him. He always told his agent not to consider any other options though. It was staying at Madrid or nothing else. In the end, Kroos informed the club hierarchy that it would be nothing else and he would not renew his contract, with Ancelotti given some warning just 24 hours. But Kroos, as so often before, was doing it his way. He will have few regrets, if any, over how his career has played out, and he has never appeared worried about saying or doing what he truly felt. I am happy and proud that in my mind I found the right timing for my decision, and that I could choose it on my own, he said in his retirement announcement. My ambition was always to finish my career at the peak of my performance level. From now on, there is only one leading thought: a ball of 15. Let's go for the 15th Champions League title. This is truly the greatest way to end his career. A Champions League final for Madrid, something which he will be known for there, and then officially ending it back home at home in Germany for his national team, where he could potentially do something very special. Either way, Kroos is bowing out on top, and whatever happens at the Euros or the Champions League final, he will go down as one of the greatest midfielders the game has ever seen. So there we go, that is the legacy, the career of the legendary Toni Kroos. We'll see what happens in the Champions League final and at the Euros, but make sure you savour it and enjoy it, because this is the last we will see of a magnificent footballer. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. Please leave a like, and I will see you in another